Hi, I'm Rob. What brings you here today?
I've been experiencing a lot of trouble with alcohol and marijuana use.
Okay.
I just graduated high school about a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I obviously started college. I started off by going away my fall semester right from high school and ended up having problems partying too much, never got my schoolwork done. So my
Mm-hmm.
parents obviously made me come home because grades weren't good.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
and basically, I'm here because they told me I had to come, or else, I had to figure everything out on my own. And so I'm
Oh boy.
hoping, yeah.
So, so you do you share any of their concerns? Do you? Well, actually, let me backtrack a little. What kind of drew you into using when you got to school?
Um, the summer going into college, it was all celebrating with
Sure.
my high school friends, everyone
Mm-hmm.
getting into college, graduating.
Sure.
And that was kind of when I picked up more of like the alcohol use.
Okay.
It was every day in the summer, we would always be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to school, that's when I started to have a problem with marijuana. I
Okay.
used it more of, at first, recreational, obviously, when
Mm-hmm.
at parties.
Sure.
And then when I started to use that, I found that it relaxed me. So if I
Mm-hmm.
had projects, or
Sure.
I would use that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the alcohol was more, it was just not a habit, but I was so into it that I went from summer to school. And at school, I went to a bigger university, so on weekends we were just always partying.
It was a
And
social, normal,
definitely,
weekend or that type of thing. Sure,
definitely.
sure.
And then I found myself, in my dorm. Like I said, if I had homework, I would just put it off and ask my friends if they wanted to go out. Or
Hmm.
so I think it was more. I have a concern with the alcohol more than the marijuana.
Okay.
And I see that the marijuana I kind of use to relax myself, and the
Hmm.
alcohol is just kind of getting out of control. Now that I'm
Okay.
home, obviously all my friends are gone, so I find myself more drinking alone, which concerns me because
Hmm.
obviously it's not social anymore. It's become more of a problem.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you admit that the drinking alone is, or that you're concerned about that, because usually that is a step or a sign that drinking is starting to get a little more serious than just going out with friends and stuff like that. And that's good that, um, I mean, you kind of recognize that marijuana isn't really as much of a factor, or you don't see it as much of
Yeah,
a factor, like, getting out of control, and
correct.
that the booze is kind of what's making
Yeah,
things a little more difficult.
yeah. I noticed my parents kind of right from when they made me come home. Obviously, they wanted me to go see someone, and from then I hadn't been home long enough to see that I kind of had a problem with this. So I always like fought them on it, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I kind of proved to them. I enrolled at a community college,
Mm-hmm.
went to classes there, and everything seemed fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got a job, and that was going good. And then when really why I decided to come, obviously, was because they wanted me to. But I started not going to my classes, and
Okay.
just the same kind of patterns. I'm actually suspended from work right now. I
Okay.
didn't show up for a while because I would drink the night before, had an early shift, wouldn't show up, and it was kind of repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, work wasn't going to take that.
No,
So,
got some consequences with that for
correct.
sure. So what does your employer, is there kind of a mandate with them as what about getting some
Yeah,
help, or?
they also obviously mandated, and like I said, that was kind of my breaking point. So obviously,
Mm-hmm.
that was another reason why I was here. Um, so they said once I would enroll in treatment, they would talk to see, what could be done from there
Okay.
about the suspension. I'm not fired, obviously, but just suspended until they see something.
Some progress.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, so, uh, Tell me more about how the drinking makes you feel, especially when you're doing it alone.
Sure. Um,
Emotionally, I mean.
yeah. When it started off like when I would get, basically the whole point is it relaxes me. If I had projects due and then I had work the next morning and all of that kind of stuff, it just kind of made me anxiety and everything. How am I going to get this done?
Sure.
So naturally, I just didn't get it done, and went to the alcohol, and that kind of relaxed me. And it was just kind of a repetitive pattern. And then when I constantly had my parents on me about going to school, obviously so it was basically to relax me. It helped me get away from everything for a while.
So when did you kind of start to feel concern, or was it when after you'd been drinking alone for a while?
It was when I was drinking alone for a while. That was like the number one thing. The light bulb went off, and I kind of sat there, and I just, what am I doing? And then, like I said, what set it off to come was the getting suspended from work, because then I knew, this is a problem. And obviously I wanted to be successful in college, and, so I found that this was just setting me back in every aspect of my life. So I kind of.
Well, I think your reflection is very good. You're pretty self-aware of what's been going on.
Yeah.
I think that's something you should feel good about.
Thank you.
So what kind of are your parents' expectations besides, is there anything else they're expecting just besides stopping the drinking, or, is there any more things you need to do to show them?
Yeah, it was like stopping the drinking, and obviously schoolwork has to, start attending my classes. And basically it was kind of either you go get help or you have to find somewhere else to live, because I think they saw that, I had a place to live, I had money to get what I wanted, so really I didn't have any responsibilities. I really did, but
you could do what you wanted.
Exactly, and I think that was another thing that, the light bulb went off. They don't know so much about the marijuana.
Okay.
Like I said, it's more, I haven't found that to be a problem, but lately I've been kind of trying to substitute the marijuana smoking instead of drinking.
Oh, okay.
Because then, in my mind, I don't feel I have a problem with that. But I do feel I have a problem with the drinking. So it kind of makes me feel better if I'm smoking to relax instead of, you know what I mean. I don't find that I smoke that much. It's mainly on weekends.
Okay.
And it was mainly social, so it's on weekends. But like I said, all my friends are gone, so it's not so much social anymore.
Okay.
But the alcohol is pretty much every day.
Okay. Well, so the marijuana kind of does the same thing for you.
Yeah.
But you're not doing it as much, and it's been successful in kind of cutting back on the drinking, you said?
A little bit, yeah. I still feel like I would rather go for the booze than smoke. So I don't know how successful it is, but in my mind, I tell myself, yeah, it's working, Well,
that's a positive thing, at least. So have you thought of any other ways that you could lessen stress from school?
Yeah, I thought about, obviously, I thought a lot of different things. One is kind of exercise.
Okay.
If I feel stressed, going for a run outside and I used to do that all through high school. That was like my biggest coping mechanism was exercise. And like I said, the summer going into college, everything just kind of got away from
Yeah.
me. And when I would go for a run, it didn't feel as good as drinking. It didn't help as much. So I found that I kind of veered away from that, and that's led to the alcohol more.
So the alcohol kind of took the place
Yeah.
of.
And I haven't really tried it, obviously, but I'm definitely open to trying new, I would guess, coping mechanisms, you know.
That's very positive to hear. I think it's important for you to, or for, people in general to find, other avenues that are more
Exactly.
positive than using, and it's up to each individual, but I think that's a good start, thinking about, going back to running or exercise or doing something like that.
Sure. And I thought about some group counseling, like for school, like stress, just talking about, how, because I know I'm not the only college student that has
No, more than
all
likely
the
not.
stress, so
Definitely not.
I figured that might be a good one to just kind of get it all out, because when I talk to my parents about it, it's not that they don't understand, but I think they just expect, well, it has to get done.
That you're going to just change it overnight.
Exactly.
And stop,
So,
and
yeah.
everything will be wonderful
Right.
again.
Right, and that's what I tried. When I told them I would agree to come, I just kind of told them it would probably be a process. It's not like, it's going to be time. It's not like it's just going to happen overnight. But definitely open to different, like you said, avenues to take. Just kind of struggling with different types I can do, aside from just running, because I feel like, yeah, I can run, but then there's, I'm going to come home and it's still going to, you know what I mean?
Still
so,
might feel, or
right.
the beer or
Exactly.
wine or whatever.
Right.
No, and that's understandable. I think the group counseling is a great idea. I think that's fantastic. You've looked into things like that, and I've heard a lot of people your age getting a lot out of that. Because you're right, there's a lot of other students in the same boat when they leave home, and it's kind of the freedom and
Right.
and being able to make your own choices, and sometimes feels good to go crazy. That's pretty common. So I think you've done a good job researching all this
Thank
stuff.
you.
It sounds like you're very willing to try this out, and it's not just to, from what I've gathered, not just to please your parents or to just so you can get your job back. You actually want to stop using and cutting down on the marijuana and finding other avenues of stress relief and all that stuff. I think that's a very positive thing.
Definitely. And like I said earlier, I just noticed for myself when I was just drinking alone, I just thought this, too young to be doing this already. So
That's a good point.
it was more of like, okay, yeah, maybe they're right. And like I said, it was never like this. This just occurred a couple months ago when
Okay.
when work finally, that was it. But when my parents first came to me, it was never, I did not have any problem. I denied it.
Of course, yeah.
And I didn't even think, I wasn't as open to anything as I am now. But as things kept going and progressing, I thought, maybe it's time to look into it. And
You've noticed the difference.
yeah.
I think that's fantastic. A lot of people your age are kind of resistant to it, and I think it's very positive, and you're headed very much in the right direction. I think you're very, like I said, it seems like you're very open to getting the help you need.
Thank you very much.
Would you be willing to come back next week and
Definitely.
maybe think about some of the stuff that you even brought up, and see if kind of check in and see how you feel, and if anything's changed for the better or you feel better, and kind of we can process it from there.
Definitely. Sounds
Great.
good to me.
It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
You're welcome.